Hello everyone. I wanted to talk today about self-promotion. Self-promotion is an essential thing for artists and designers and illustrators alike. And for myself, over the years, it's taken many different forms. And frankly, it's not something that comes naturally to me. Maybe you can relate. Do you like talking about yourself? Do you like talking about your artwork? Do you like other people judging you? I don't. In fact, believe it or not, I always considered myself a little bit shy. I didn't like speaking up too much in a crowd. I didn't like, I certainly don't like being a salesperson and trying to sell something. That's always been really hard for me to do. And even more so when it comes to my own artwork and my own design. That's a problem, especially if you want to succeed in business. So let me just kind of talk about a few things in relation to that. First is you need to develop a strategy for your chosen audience or to reach your particular clients. So I brought in a few samples. This has been kind of an interesting trip down memory lane as I've looked through these things. But I thought I'd start with some of my early works at self-promotion, starting right out of school myself. First, here we have my very first character animation portfolio. And this one was a copy of my sketchbooks and my drawings, all put together as I was trying to pursue an animation career. This is actually a photocopy of those drawings. Back then, I really couldn't print very nice versions of them. But at the time, this was my desire to break into Disney and to be a character animator. And didn't really work out, but it was very useful to me in learning how to take my artwork, put it together in a little portfolio that I could send out and try to share with potential employers. Those same principles still apply today. In addition to my pursuit of an animation career, I also tried many different ways of promoting my illustration. And at the time, I had this idea to create calendars, little desk calendars that people could use, and they would be covered with my own illustration. And I did one for every season, and each little calendar I designed had 3 months on them. And so in my day back then, it was a good idea to send out physical promotional items. And so I thought, what better than a little calendar, a little desk calendar somebody could use, hang on their wall, have on their desk to remember me by. And so that one I worked on sending and mailing to art directors and others directly to get some work. Kind of worked, kind of didn't, but that was one of my ideas. And I still think it's a useful example of trying to come up with something clever, maybe creative, that someone might want to hang on to and actually be useful. We still respond to those kinds of items when we go to conventions or go to visit a business. They're little promotional items that people give away, and it's not a bad idea to think of some for yourself. They still work. Let's see, what would be next? I also, over the years, created little tear sheets and flyers that I would send out for myself. These I would use to create advertisements in trade magazines and also to hand out and mail to potential art directors. They all represented different art styles for me. Some were more comic and illustration style. Some were more photographic and fantasy style. All trying to reach different potential clients. And that's another tip is make sure that what you send is relevant to the person you send it to. All right, there's a few of those. Here's an example of an old pitch I wrote up and was working on a storyline, little printed pitch done under my Banshee Comics label. and it was all part of a potential storyline for a graphic novel. This one I took to Image and a couple other places. Didn't get picked up, but that was an attempt at doing that. That leads to another story, I think, another direction in my career, which has been wanting to break into comics as well. One of my very first conventions many years ago, I took around my portfolios. I had some graphic novel pitches. I had some of my own work, books that I'd already self-published as well. And I went to visit different convention tables, tried to meet with different art directors. And I remember spending the whole weekend trying to reach out as many people as I could. And frankly, that was very uncomfortable. It made me very nervous, and I certainly did not like going up to someone that I didn't know and introduce myself. But I went up to the Image table, and I got a chance to talk to Erik Larsen, who was one of the founding members of Image Comics. And he went through my portfolio, looked at it, looked at me, said, "You don't got it," and told me to pretty much take a hike. And that was probably the icing on the cake for the rejections that I received at that particular convention. And at that point, I was like, really? So he really deflated me. But I carried that with me a long time. And I've realized years later that, going up to somebody and introducing yourself just cold with no relationship, who knows what you're going to get? You have a 50-50 chance that they're going to be positive or negative, but most likely they're going to be negative because they want to get you out of their way. Anyways, you have to get over that. Rejection is a part of the deal, especially when you're selling your work. I know that other salespeople get used to it. They understand the business of selling yourself, dealing with rejection, trying again, building relationships with potential customers and clients. It's part of the game. Well, when you're talking about your own work, you can take it personally. And what I'm trying to say is, don't take it personally. Get over it. Frankly, I'm a hypocrite because I still take it personally. But it's very important to be professional and not let it wear you down. Okay, some other things. Along the way, I've also generated postcards, little giveaway cards that are easy to share, not very expensive to make, easy to put out and give out to potential customers. Of course, simplest, business card. I've had so many different business card designs over the years. It's not funny. I've designed many different kinds. Then also, this includes some self-publishing, which I've done as well. There was a point in my career for working in comics that I realized that none of the big companies are paying attention to me. And I was really having no luck breaking in. And a good friend of mine, Art Baltazar, told me, why not just do it yourself? And that really hit home. And I realized, you know what? I can do it myself. I obviously know how to make a book. I know how to draw. Why not do it myself? That seems to be the common thing nowadays anyway. Self-publishing seems to be the way to break into comics. But, and even what is comics anymore with the state of publishing. But that would be another tip would be, hey, if you're not finding success in a particular route with your self-promotion, make your own reign. Find out a way to promote what you're doing and do it yourself. So that's another thing to think about. As it relates to what should you use for self-promotion, of course, in the world we live in now, there's a vast array of things you can do online to promote yourself, from social media to having your own little brand, selling your own merch. So lots of things you can do for self-promotion. But I did want to highlight some of these practical, printed, and manufactured ideas because I think there's still a place for that. People still like having stuff and receiving stuff. And so if you have an idea for a promotional item that you can afford to handcraft or make or print, it's not a bad idea. It's something that might set you apart from others that are trying to get attention. Because it's so easy to click and delete an email or to ignore a post. But if you get something really cool, somebody hands it to you, hand delivers it, or mails it, you might hang on to it. So that's just a little bit of advice, a little bit of context for self-promotion. I did want to say that over time you can develop a thicker skin and develop more confidence in your work, and that's important. All right, so that's today's tip. Have a good afternoon. Talk to you later.